This podcast is for educational purposes only. Please consult your doctor before changing any medical care. This information, products, or comments contained within this podcast is not approved by the FDA for the treatment or diagnosis of any disease. Although we attempt to keep the information up to date and current, we cannot guarantee the information is up to date at the time of this recording. Individual results will vary. No one should expect the outcomes or results mentioned or described in this podcast. Health shares do not constitute health insurance and do not provide a guarantee to pay for your medical bills. Please consult your broker, general counsel, and/or doctor before changing your healthcare plan. Envita and Envita Health makes no guarantees for outcomes and results. For joining us, I'm Dr. Dino Prato, founder and CEO of Envita Medical Centers. I'm here with Dr. John Oertle, one of our lead physicians and also a chief medical director at Envita. And we're doing these questions and answers on the idea that we have a process at Envita that is so clear. Before a patient even comes in, meets with their doctor, every expectation is met. We don't make guarantees. We look at all their laboratory data. We build a great treatment plan with all the precision oncology, as we've talked about before. And then with the family and the patients, we proceed. Whenever we look at the end of the year and we say we have, let's say 120, 150, 200 patients, all the patients that don't complete care would be excluded from our outcome.
I just wanted to share, I'm so proud of the work that we do at Envita, because when it comes to even this ability to be able to give proper expectations, I always say doctor actually means teacher. It's docere, teacher. And we do such I believe, I'm proud of our doctors and the work we do to give proper expectation. I think about this and we never use the word cure. We never give expectations of remission, because so much of it is dependent upon the ability of what biomarkers do you have, what is the actual, what is the functionality of the immune system, the precision methodologies as far as where we're at, to be able to really look at being able to get response. And so one of these areas is that we actually train our doctors as well on this, because when you are a late stage cancer patient that you failed oncology, failed clinical drug trials, we still see response even in that. And at the same time, there's an expectation of one, we have to first start seeing response with our patients. And once we start seeing responses, then it leads to further response and further response and further response. And then eventually it leads to a remission. But those are expectations that are made because you can't just bite off the old elephant in one chew. Yeah. And this is a really important aspect, that when any patient is coming on in, that there's a full understanding and a full consent to the care that they're going to be received. And this is from the PCEs that we first educate on the phone, giving quotations, to when they come on in to be able to sit with the doctor and actually discuss the case, and to be able to discuss the challenges and the difficulties, so that we can actually deliver the best care, but bringing the patient along and involved in the decision-making every step of the way. Well, and I think we're so respectful of this, and it is really important that we are here to deliver reasonable discussions about the science, or what we do, how the situation that the patient is in, what is their values, bringing the family involved to be able to make sure that the discussion of, do they still want to be able to fight for their life? And what does the patient want? What does the family want? Being able to bring these decisions together so we can continue to be able to say, okay, if you want to fight for life, and this is the current medical situation that you're in, I'm with you. And we're going to do what we can with our methodologies to be able to make that happen.
Yeah. Going forward, I just want to talk about this false hope thing, because you were talking about was we monitor patients' responses, CTC, CT-free DNA, tumor markers, imaging. And when those patients are responding, and you can see most of the patients we see have already failed conventional care, okay? And then they arrive, and we run very detailed testing. Sometimes patients don't understand, why did we use this lab instead of that lab? Because we're looking at incredible markers, both in the cancer genomic markers, with the different labs that we use internationally, which gives us much more data. We have specialized labs, some that are unique to Envita in the genomic testing, because we're looking at so much data. Particularly with somebody who would have a very late stage cancer, we need lots of data, right? And then we're looking at inflammatory factors and causative metabolic factors that can range from everything or causative. In this case, we saw Roundup, and there were some other things in the lab. But it's important to understand that our goal is to present that to the patient and then hold their hand and walk with them through the healing process. We are a people of hope. I just want to say we are not a people that, and I say this from our Christian perspective, we are a people of hope. Today in the hospital and often a lot of the conventional oncology, and I've just heard this from university professors to groups, there is let the patient die with dignity, which is what we see sometimes when a very small population of our patients might go to the ER. That may be their mindset because they're not interested, but we have a different mindset. We're a people of life. We work to help people heal, and we have real outcomes based on response rates, and we don't overpromise, but that is, just to make it clear, with every patient, we're working towards remission. And there is nothing wrong to, number one, have the work that backs that up through precision and the ability to speak it with faith and confidence. We've been doing this for 23 years. That's why we're in this field. And I say that because, we are a people of hope. So I want to clear that up, this false hope and misleading, because every patient knows clearly we do not make promises or guarantees, but we're there to do our best to help them respond, continue responding. The other question I got, which I may have answered before, was we have these testimonials that are called survivors. To be a survivor at Envita, that means to do a testimonial, you would have had to have a very good response in the facility during the time you were here. You would have had to have a significant enough response to your cancer, tumor markers, CTCs, imaging to say it's worth a testimonial. Now, we have patients from all over the world. If you go to Envita's waiting room, I don't know if they'll show this, but as we gave it to her, there's a pin of the entire globe of the world. And you can see people that come from all over the US, all over Canada, all over Europe, all over Asia, South America. There's just pins everywhere. And that's my point is when patients leave, we track them as long as we can, but then eventually they go home. We may not know if a patient, year, 2 years, whatever passes. But what's interesting is when we have decided when a patient has passed to remove their survivor story from the website, the family reaches out often and says, don't touch the story because it was a significant part of extending their life, giving them quality of life, and we respect that. So I want to make that clear. And I want to say one other thing. Not all patients do survivor testimonials. Some people are famous or they're, professionals or they have private stories they don't want to share for whatever reason. A lot of our patients do, thank goodness, because they're sharing the real work, but some of them keep it private. So there's a lot more positive stories even than what you can possibly see on our internet website, where you see the testimonials. And we are taking the data and the excitement of our work and moving it forward. So I just want to say that the work that we do is real hope in real responses through those markers I just mentioned. And we don't make guarantees for cures or remissions, but we are working towards that with every patient. And actually, after speaking to, because we have lots of regulatory people around Envita, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, we are not making any false claims anywhere. Our doctors are very clear in our communications. I just want to make that clear because I think when you get these, again, interviews and they can, edit it and it's 30 seconds, I don't know, but I want the full ability to clarify that with transparency. So, John, you have anything you add? Because I do think
I do, yeah. I mean, I think about this too, is that a patient has just responded to care. They may not even be in full-blown remission, but they elect, it's their choice to do the testimonials. This is what's so great is that the patient's choice is that they want to do the testimonial because they love the experience of what they've just experienced at Envita. Yeah. The love of the caregiving of the nursing staff, the team of the PCCs, the doctors, and there's just so much that they want to share because of the relationship that's been built, because it's not this transactional, just come through. It's an experience. It's a relationship that you get to be able to love these patients and you love their family and you care for them and you spend this time delivering and pouring out your heart for these patients. And there's a real relationship that's built. And for those patients, this is one of the beautiful things as far as why I believe that so many patients do want to do testimonials is because they want to do it because they are self-choosing it because of the experience that they've received. And this is such a beautiful thing. We have bell ringing ceremonies where patients share their responses with the bell ringing ceremonies. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience that should be celebrated, So when I have a stage 4, very difficult cancer patient that's been given 3 months to live from high-level institutions in the United States, and they come to me and say, they've given me 3 months, I've got nothing left, and we're able to extend their life and to be able to, that's worth celebrating. And this is not just one story of this. There is multiple stories, many stories of patients that can give that testimony to extend life, to extend quality of life. That is not false hope.
No.
That is very real data. Now, every patient is so complex, and there are some patients that are very difficult to treat. Those are conversations that patients have with their doctors to be able to make sure that what are the challenges that are being faced? What's the roadmap for me to be able to make sure that we're moving forward? To say that it's false hope,
or misleading.
It's certainly, I can say that it is not misleading, but even this is that what is the opposite of hope?
Yeah.
It's despair. And when you say we're a people of hope, we should be a people of hope. We should be hoping for what's going to happen in our lives, and even the extension of any little last moment that we have with our families. We should hope for the work that the God is doing in our lives. If we don't hope, we're in despair. And you know what despair is? It's clinical depression. Nobody should be clinically depressed. And how difficult is it for a cancer patient to be able to ensure that they're not just being fed, I guess for a late-stage cancer patient to be able to understand more data, to get a better understanding of him or her situation, so that can be discussed with their medical professional that knows precision molecular targeting and how that's actually working. There's a lot of discussion and conversation around that. This is where, it's not false hope. It is hopeful, though, when there's a target that is actually showing something that actually has a therapeutic target with the benefits that we can actually...
Let me summarize this for the people both on the scientific and other side regarding misleading false hope. Number one, the patients we see have already failed care elsewhere, okay? Number two, if you take the top 71 chemotherapy drugs, plus or minus, the overall survival time on that data is less than 2.5 months, and they're considered blockbuster drugs. If you take the work Envita does with precision oncology, immunotherapy, our whole informatic pipeline, we would be the biggest blockbuster drug in the world by multiple factors because of how precision helps people respond much better than one drug or one trial. And that's real hope with our real clinical experience. Now, the point that she was making as well is, people have to use their life insurance policy or a portion of it because, right, they may have a terminal life benefit they can access, or their home or their stock or whatever. And, we don't get involved in that with the patient. That is a patient's right and decision. Every patient has the right, their family has the right to fight for their family's life. That is a God-given right. So what is the opposite of that? You have no choice. Like that, we have so many patients that they came to us, they do care, they live longer, a lot longer. Some go into remission. We have some people long-term remission. Let's assume all that went away and all they had to do was swallow that conventional care didn't work. There was no place for them to go. They couldn't invest in their health care. So what is the opposite of that is my thought, right? The opposite of that is, well, you're just supposed to go home and die. So I have a big problem, and I don't want to be sounding about with that interview, because what is the option? People have no option because they don't have, they have to get resources together. That is a decision every family and every individual makes, and we respect them. We itemize all the costs, transparency. We itemize the whole care process. We don't make false expectations. We walk the patient through, and then it's their decision. But if you look at 23 years of work and the many people we've helped live longer, go into remission that were told they had incurable diseases, they would be so upset they wouldn't be here, and I say that because that is the opposite of where you say is despair. It's not an emotional thing. It's by the way, the government decides you're done with care, go home. That's not Envita. We're here to fight for our patients, and it is their choice. At the end of the day, a patient can go and get care where they choose. And thank God, by the grace of God, we're here as an option. People deserve options. They don't deserve to be told that they're forced to do this, right? It's an option, and it's an option we respect and we provide with transparency at 50% the cost of conventional oncology by our actuarial data, for many times more the precision. So I think we're doing great work. And I wanted to answer that because, again, how do you answer these things in a 30-second soundbite that's edited? This is more conversation, allows us to get deeper into the topic and really say to our patients, we're here to help them. So, John, if you have anything else to add, I mean, I think that, we're a people of hope, and we have our response data is based on circulating tumor cells, CT-free DNA, tumor markers, and imaging. We're using real, more advanced metrics than standard oncology to monitor our patients, to looking at leading and lagging indicators. And we're proud of that work. And that is the work that I believe is real hope. It's because it's in the data and the work and the grace of God he's given us to be in this field. So I just want to say that the opposite of that is you don't have anywhere you can go. You're told there's patients. I may have mentioned this in a previous podcast because it's fresh on my mind. There was a man there from the Dominican Republic, and he had late-stage colorectal cancer. They sent him home to die at Dominican Republic. They flew his family flew him into MD Anderson, Texas, because some of the family lives in Texas. MD Anderson said, go home to hospice. He's at Envita, 40% tumor shrinkage. His life has been extended by many months already, and he's continuing to come back every now and then. He's living, and he's out of pain, and he has quality of life. He deserves that right. His family deserves that right. I just want to say that with passion, because life is a gift, and it's worth fighting for. And I know years ago when I was younger, my aunt had late-stage cancer, and I lived across the street from her, and she was like a second mother to me, little Italian community, right? I learned early on, when she got cancer and we knew it was way spread and I was young, we did everything. We took her everywhere. We took her to Mexico. We took her to other doctors, we did everything. We don't regret doing that because her life was worth it. And we don't ever look back. And I got to tell you, even with patients over the last 23 years who may not have the ideal response that we want, they live a little bit longer than we have, their families 9 times out of 10 come back and they're so happy that they received the love and dignity and the effort to fight for their loved one's life that we provided in Envita. So I just want to say that under the auspices of these questions, because that really does not reflect the work by any means that we're doing here at Envita.
Yeah. So it's that patient choice, the ability to be able to be well educated by their doctor and be able to choose the treatment plan that they want and have options that are able to actually provide for those patients. It's a critical thing. So I
almost see it like
that level of communication.
I see it this way, like, how dare us share the results we're getting? How dare us share our excitement for helping patients? How dare us offer an option so that people could live, could respond, have the opportunity of remission where they've been given not much hope or not really good care? The patient is not forced to take no for an answer and that they're going to go home and die. They have the opportunity to extend their life, and that's why we're here. That's the joy of our work. And if that makes us a target, and the Lord is with us, we're going to continue helping our patients, working with them with the real data and the real work that we have. So anyways, I just want to end that there. But I think it's important that if you have, I say this to patients, if you have questions about Envita, what we can do for you, you have questions about your specific cancer, or you want to, when you're here, you're talking to your doctor, all that is transparent from the beginning. And then you, with your family, get to decide what's right for you. And I always tell patients, pray. The Lord will lead you in the direction that you need to go. And so anyways, with that, I just want to, finish. I guess we're getting this one to be a little bit longer, but may the Lord bless you on your journey to healing. Hopefully we help to answer these questions. You guys find the podcast helpful and educational and gives you more information. And so I hope these are helpful for everybody. Thank you.